All right, it is 6 o'clock. If the board is ready, we will begin our meeting, and I will officially call things to order. And if you will all rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, I guess, where's our flag? Do we? Is it? Oh, we just can't see it. All right. There we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all for being here this evening. We will probably be expecting Matt a little bit late. He was stuck behind an accident, apparently, that has happened on Highway 101. So he let me know that he's en route, but he may be a little bit late. And we do have our superintendent joining us via Zoom this evening, so we look forward to hearing his report as well, too. But first, we will need to adopt the agenda. And have all of you had a chance to take a look at that? There haven't been any changes. So if there's a motion.
Move to adopt the agenda.
That has been provided here, so that will be included in the consent agenda and we all received a copy with, and the section that's highlighted in red is the new addition. So that will be part of the minutes from the meeting and the consent agenda. So I've got a motion. Is there a second to adopt the agenda as? All right, thank you, Sandy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Hearing none, the agenda has been adopted. All right, and now we look forward to hearing Superintendent Jesse's report all the way from Washington, D.C.
Thanks, Board President Davidson, other board directors, staff, and our community. I am here to just report on a couple things. One, we've had an amazing start around our Live for High Quality Literacy out at our school sites. Every week I'm out in schools. Last week I was in particularly at Bordeaux and Evergreen in regards to looking at our classrooms for how we're implementing our balanced literacy approach. It was really amazing. All the classrooms were definitely taking a significant step towards implementing the methodologies that we are supporting here for the Shelton School District. It was just great. Kids are really energized about their reading. I know I report that to the board in my Friday updates, but it just really is comforting to watch our students wrestle with their independent reading books and thinking about literacy, and the teachers really excited about talking about the craft of not only what they are reading to their students, but also author's craft itself around technical writing in the different genres. I'm also continuing to support with our staff on transportation. We're looking at a number of ideas to support us. I think there's some things coming on the really short horizon as early as possibly next week around increasing the number of bus drivers we have. So I'm excited about that opportunity, and so we'll continue to work every day, each week, trying to get bus drivers. I know the shortage is everywhere, but our desire is to have a full stock of bus drivers and routes that are provided consistently day in, day out. We want to support our students getting to school, and we know transportation is really critical to that. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew out in the community that we'll continue our efforts on supporting transportation, and particularly supplying us with new bus drivers. The last one is President Davidson was mentioning, I'm here in DC. I'm actually part of a committee supported by OSPI around inclusionary practices. So I'm the representative superintendent. There are 6 other states represented here in this particular conference around inclusionary principal leadership, an area of expertise for me and deep passion, and something we have actually going on in the Shelton School District, where we look at thinking about our students with disabilities and how are they integrated throughout the school day in the general education environment. So we want to make sure that we're continuing to support that work. It's right in our strategic plan around safe and welcoming environments, and then also around our equity statement that we are here to support all students as they walk through the doors. And so it's really good to be here on the national level representing not only Washington State, but the Shelton School District. So that's my report, and I'll move it back to you, Board President.
All right, thank you, and thank you for the work that you're doing there and representing our school district and our state. So next up, we do have community comments, and I do have one person who has signed up for community comments, so I'm going to read the normal language that we have around that, and then if anyone else calls in or would like to sign up, they're welcome to do that. So as part of the regular school board meeting, the board invites community members to make public comments in person and or by phone as conditions allow. If speaking in person, please follow the public comment procedure by signing in and stating your name and address at the podium when called by the board chair. If making comments by phone, please dial 1-253-215-8782 and enter meeting ID number 854-3386-9913. Each person is allowed 3 minutes to speak. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the board is not allowed to discuss items that are not on the agenda. The board will direct the superintendent to follow up on any items that arise during public comment as appropriate. The board will not allow complaints against an individual staff member or student in open public session unless that individual has requested an open public hearing. So I've got Diane Hoosier, if you would like to come up to the podium.
Thank you. I'm a little nervous, so. I'm just one voice, but I feel like speak for a lot of parents about our transportation issue. My son has not had a school bus since the second week of school. My husband and I have had to transport him back and forth to school for the last month, over a month. Sorry. We are lucky we work from home, so we can manage it. There are so many parents that can't. And now I've learned that field trips are being canceled because teachers are not being allowed to find other means of transportation. My son is in the 3rd grade. He has been on 0 field trips. 0, none. We have to allow for creative thinking. We have to allow our teachers to be able to come with other options and come up with alternatives to provide for our kids so they can go on field trips and experience what school has to offer. I feel as a parent that I'm told, deal with it. There's not really any solution. We're short bus drivers, I get that. But we're not given options to contact other parents to create co-ops, maybe, for carpooling. We're not told, I follow another school bus to school every morning. Why am I not told, you can go a mile down the road and your child can take that school bus? There's no options being explored. There's no alternatives. There's no, as far as I can see, no alternatives being even thought about to rectify the situation, to give us other alternatives. On top of that, I see sporting events continuing to happen. Sports are still happening. We're transporting kids to every school around the area, and that apparently seems to be a priority in my mind over transporting our kids to school, transporting our kids to go on field trips, and experiencing what school has to offer. We've got to think creatively and open the door to our teachers and to administration or whoever else needs to happen in order to find alternatives to this problem, because it is a big problem. I know I have a friend who's a teacher at the high school. She has a student that calls her every week and says, I'm sorry, I can't make it to class this week because I don't have a school bus and my family can't afford gas. So what do I need to do this week so I can stay on top of my schoolwork? That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. We have to be able to open the door to creatively think and give parents the opportunity to figure out solutions, give teachers the opportunity to figure out solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any dial-in comments at this time? No. Okay. And that is it for our community comments. We now need to open up a public hearing on the proposed director district boundary changes. And so this is the time that any of the posted information that we've had on our boundary changes, if there's anyone who would like to speak about this. Otherwise, we will close that portion of the meeting.
Where are the changes posted?
They've been, Wyeth, the changes for our boundaries have been posted on our website, from what I understand, and they've been out there for, I'm not sure how long it is now. Has it been 2 weeks or longer than that?
Yeah, it's been, I think, over 10 days. I think it's, today's Tuesday, so it's been almost 13 days.
Okay.
So that Wednesday. So 13 days on our website, and then we put it out in social media as well as both the Olympian and as well as
The Journal.
newspaper. Yeah, the Journal.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that would come in 801, unless I'm told otherwise. Whether or not this would be a time for board member comments or questions, it would be 801. Okay, this would be the time for the public to come forward with any questions, and it looks like we don't have any this evening, so we will go down to reports and recognitions. And first up is always our student school board representatives. And Nieves, if we could start with you today, and we'll just go down the line.
Okay, on Friday, we had our first award assembly. We celebrated and awarded our students on their academic progress, attendance as well. So any student that had 100% attendance was recognized and celebrated during the assembly. If you had any academic progress since either the beginning of the year or maybe last year was a little bit rough, we celebrated those students as well. We gave every staff member and teacher an opportunity to have a few students that they thought needed recognition. And we also rewarded our students on behavior, which is really important. Another announcement that I had was that this Thursday we are hosting, our Gear Up people are hosting a information night about federal aid. So if any students or we know any students that might need help filling out federal aid, because it can be a very long and difficult process, it would be a great opportunity to get some extra help. We are offering that this Thursday at 5 o'clock.
Okay, great. And I saw lots of pictures on social media about your award ceremony, so they did a good job of doing all of that. And just in case anybody out there listening doesn't realize, that's for Choice High School.
Yes.
And our student representative for Cedar High School is Angela, if you'd like to give us a report as well.
Yeah, so on Tuesday last week, we got to go to our first official field trip that our teachers had to work very hard to make. And they got to go to Big Creek, which was both a science and PE class, like all science classes got to go to. Our seniors got to go to SHS for the Bite of Reality, and they got our first SAT testing as well. And FAFSA enrollments have also started, and we have actually had quite a bit of students that actually did that. Our video production and creative writing are making kids' books, and they're making what our teacher calls a little library. We still need to find a location for it. And the blood drive on December 1st that we have that's open to the public, and I think we just opened up the registrations for that. More thing is on the 20th of this month, we are having the University of Washington Tacoma come over to Cedar and talk to some of the students about enrolling.
That's great. Thank you so much for all of the update there. And then Richard for Shelton High School.
Hello, good evening. So at SHS, it is homecoming week, so it's currently Spirit Week, and so if you see kids dressed up in like pajamas or looking like Adam Sandler, I think is tomorrow, then that would be why. So yeah, it's Spirit Week. We're going to be having our homecoming game and homecoming assembly on Friday, and we have a lot of fun things planned for the week. There's like class wars, I think, or like class battles where they're going to be doing a lot of just fun competition games. So that's fun. It's going to be a fun week on campus. Also, there have been the Career and Advising Center. They have been doing, I think it's like weekly or bi-weekly, just like sessions about educating students. One of them was about like how to build a resume, and another one was like how do you prepare for financial aid. And so those have been going, and I think that those are really important lessons to be teaching our students. Those are really cool. Also our SATs and PSAT, our SATs happened, I think, like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and then our PSATs are happening tomorrow. So, yeah. Oh, and also the Met building, I just wanted to shout out to them because they are building in their mechatronics class, they're going through the steps to build a hovercraft. And I thought that was just really cool, and the community would want to know about that as well. As you mentioned, we also did the Bite of Reality at Shelton High School, and that was where we taught the entire senior class important life lessons about finance and managing money and how to balance a budget and not go into debt and spend way too much money on a boat or something. So yeah, that's all for Shelton High.
All right, thank you. Do board members have any questions or comments for our student representatives?
On the FAFSA stuff, are you guys making sure that parents are invited to that, since a lot of their information is involved in the federal student aid? And as a parent who has spent a lot of time trying to fill out the forms, they need all the help they can get also. So, otherwise.
A little shout out to include parents. All right, we really appreciate hearing everything that's going on at the schools, and it's very fun to see any of the updates on social media too, and just really appreciate all three of you being here every week that we have a board meeting. So now we will move on to item 6.02, which is Choice High School's School Improvement Plan. And we have Vernon Bruni, the principal of Choice, and Marianne presenting today.
Thank you, Madam President, directors, and student representatives, all friends and family of the Shelton School District. I am Principal Bruni, and I'm the proud principal of Choice High School. We've been asked to come today to talk about our school improvement plan. So here's a nice photograph of the school, if you haven't been there before. We've got two goals. One of them is around ninth grade readiness, and the other is around attendance. So our first goal is about our ninth grade students, and the idea is that we're trying to increase the number of ninth graders from that earn 6 credits by the end of the year from 23.5% during the COVID times back up to 90% in 2022-23. I know it's a steep jump, but it's I just looked at all the historical data, and in the past years before COVID, that was about the range. And we have about 30 ninth graders at our school. We've got 181 total right now, and I know the ninth graders personally, and we're working really hard to make that number happen. The things that we're going to do to help make that happen I know this is a ton of stuff, but just rest assured, these are all research-based strategies and things that the teachers are being evaluated on through the Marzano framework. But all of these things are designed as Tier 1 strategies. Tier 1 just is a fancy way of saying that it's for everybody. So we're greeting students at the door, we're teaching structures and routines, we're getting to know each student's story, strength, and needs. We're trying to engage students right when they walk in the door with entry tasks. We're trying to keep them engaged to the final bell. We are providing clear learning targets and success criteria that connect to state standards. We're providing a comprehensive syllabus for every class so that students and families know exactly what's being covered, how they're being assessed. Teachers are going to increase student talk through the implementation of higher order questioning. So the old days of standing up in front of the class and talking at students for 45 minutes straight, we know doesn't work. So we're trying to increase the amount of time that students get to talk. Our teachers have been trained in universal design for learning. Again, it's just about making it accessible for everybody. And I know one of our district goals is about inclusionary practices, and universal design is the best way to reach everyone. Also, orientation is held for all new students, not just ninth graders, but we have a pretty involved orientation process that kids have to go through because our community is so tight, and we have, we're well known for being belonging and having a nice culture of understanding. So we get them right away in orientation. The last bullet is about our advisory teachers. We're lucky enough to have advisory every day of the school day, but our advisory teachers are well versed in graduation requirements, and they all have talks with students every day, and they meet with families once a month actually, and sit down and talk about progress and attendance and behavior and all the things that can help them to graduate. These are just systems and structures. Again, Tier 1 is for everybody. Tier 2 is for folks that might be struggling a bit. Tier 3 is ramping it up for the very small percentage of kids that need even additional supports. So you can see our monthly check-ins as a Tier 1 strategy. We do that for every child. Our school culture, Nieves talked eloquently about our positive behavior awards and our awards assembly. So we're trying to really catch kids doing the right thing, and we're trying to get them to strive to get better, and no matter where they're at in their academics, to try to reward growth. We're working on the second tier kind of MTSS team, and SSTs it just means student study team, so different students that need a little extra support. We're trying to use data to figure out who those kids are and then what we can do to help them. Okay. This is our second school improvement goal. This just says that it's a bunch of percentages, but the point is we're trying to get 64% of our kids last year were absent more than 15% of the school days. So if you're absent 10% of the school days or more, that's considered to be a huge problem, chronically absent. So, and all the research says that if you're gone more than 10% of the time, that lots of things come your way that aren't great, like dropping out and the prison pipeline and all those things. So we were at 64% last year, and the 15% instead of 10 is because it was a COVID year, so people were being quarantined and that kind of stuff still. So we're gonna crank it back to hopefully under 50% of our kids will be absent 15% of the days or less. The strategies we're going to use to make that happen, again, monthly check-ins. These are things that are for everybody. These are all Tier 1 structures, but the idea is that we're going to be meeting with families regularly and talking about attendance and talking about any concerns. Our master schedule is designed so that we can offer as many classes as possible during the school day. They get 4 in-person days and 1 asynchronous day that they're working from home, and we've even included, like you see at the bottom, fuel ed classes, so that they're not only doing their full schedule, but then those that need more credits can do a fuel ed class on the Wednesday that we don't have in-person learning. All right. These are the systems. Again, our Tier 1 structures with our monthly check-ins, our school culture, the things that we're doing to greet students by name each day. We talk about the absence list as being split up every day, and a small team of paras and secretaries and even myself, we're calling home personally to make sure. Obviously, the robocall goes home, but we call personally to try to catch families and just have a chat with them and say, hey, we're missing so-and-so. We'd love to have them back. Is there anything we can do to help? Also, incentives for students that are getting better with their attendance. We've got we're getting starting to get involved in our truancy process and getting kids with more than 3 unexcused absences. We're scheduling meetings with families to try to get them in the building to sit down and talk to them about what we can do to help support them getting to school more often. And then interventions will be signed. So you see at the bottom, this Tier 2 one, the WSLP, it's just a written student learning plan. It's another advantage that we have as an alternative school is that every single child has a written student learning plan, and they have to be making progress, and if not, they're assigned certain interventions. So we're trying to help do everything we can to get them to cross the finish line. And then it says at the bottom, Tier 3, students who are still struggling need even more additional support will be identified, and a support program will be offered. And we've got an additional support program for kids that are really struggling that goes on after school. So they're assigned to the after school program as an intervention, and then truancies will be filed. I think that's it. This is one of our assemblies up here, the big picture, and our orientation down there with all the teachers down there. So I talked about we have a whole school orientation that goes on, and then we've got for kids that are joining us late, small orientations that go on every month for kids that are joining us throughout the school year. But we do an orientation every month, and the kids that join us, and I go to every one of those orientations so that they can have a relationship with me before they even start their career at Choice. So that's Choice High School. Thanks so much for your support.
All right, thank you very much for your report. And I'm sure there might be questions or comments from board members.
Sure, I have a question. One of my favorite topics for the last year has been school safety and the issues with student-on-student violence. And last year, at this particular time, the administration was very honest and very open the fact that it was a serious issue.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had enough time in the driver's seat yet to give an idea, but in your impression, are we making progress in reducing, or about the same?
Yeah, no, I think we're making progress, and we haven't had any fights this year, and we've been, I think people will tell you that I'm not your average principal because I'm not ever in the office. It's hard to catch me on the phone, as Marianne will probably tell you, because I'm in the hallways all the time. I've got a wheelie desk where I bring my laptop and I stand by the bathrooms, because unfortunately the bathrooms is where a lot of the tomfoolery takes place. So I spend a lot of time out there, and I'm in classrooms all the time, and really just being present. And I'm asking the staff to do the same thing. Is every passing period, every morning before school, after school, all the staff floods the hallways, because it's the unstructured time that causes the most trouble. So we've been, I think, just more aware, more available, and really in the places where the stuff kind of used to happen. So I think it's been getting a lot better, and I put a lot of miles on my steps each day, because I go running up and down the hallway all day. But so far so good.
Thank you.
You got it.
If there's any other questions, feel free to jump in.
Yes, I enjoyed your presentation. It's wonderful that we have an alternative school like this in our community.
Thank you.
And I've spent 13 years myself in that building.
Oh.
I love that building.
All right.
I've helped paint the walls and
Awesome.
done lots of work in there. And
Yes,
there have
ma'am.
been great teachers, great students who have gone through there.
Awesome.
It was once Evergreen Elementary, as you probably have learned.
Right.
So in your presentation, you said that your orientation included the history and traditions of Choice.
Mm-hmm.
You're a newcomer, so I thought maybe you could give us just a few of the highlights. What do you pass on to your up-and-coming students about the great history and traditions?
So luckily, I've got Mike Coons is still there, and this is his 22nd year, I think, and he definitely takes the lead when it comes to orientation. And he talks about even the founding teacher, like that started the whole choice school, and how it started with one teacher and one secretary. And I think we're in year 39 years ago this took place. And it just talks about how we talk about how the mascot was chosen. You know, the CATS is an acronym, and choice is also an acronym. Lots of folks don't know. And so we talk through those things with kids and explain where those things came from. You know, we talk through our motto and our vision and all these things that have been, you know, really the same for all those years. And we talk about different things that different classes have brought with them and that they've done before. And it's really neat to hear, you know, a lot of the same games that were played, like team building games and stuff that have been kind of passed on year to year to year. And Nieves is shaking her head like she went through the same games that you know, our current, you know, freshmen have gone through, and 7th and 8th graders too. You know, we've got a small middle school as well, so it's been it's really neat to see, and it's really what I think sets us apart is that there's only 180 kids in that school, so I can know every single one of them by name and a little bit about where they're coming from and know their story. And so if I can do that, you know, our teachers are already experts at that, so they've been doing it a long time. So
That's wonderful. I think it's great that you bring the history
Thank
of your organization in.
Yes, ma'am.
What are your greatest needs?
Honestly, I think the thing that that's a tough question,
Or
but
how about your students? What are your students?
well, I'll tell you. Currently, one of the I guess a roadblock of being in that school, and you probably know, is that we don't have a gymnasium, right? So that's kind of a struggle, and the school district rents space from the transportation center, and we have to walk our kids down there, you know, to go to PE. And I've talked to the kids about it before, and they're like, "Man, we got to go through the rain, and we got to, you know, that kind of stuff." So I plan to buy like 30 umbrellas this year with my principal budget, and like, you know, so they can travel together. And we don't have a basketball hoop that is permanent, you know. So we have little things like that I want to try to get them, you know, a nice physical permanent, you know, hoop that they can shoot hoops on during lunch and before and after school and things like that. So it's just those kind of little challenges with having choice be where it is and the building as old as it is. So we have just some you know, logistical things that we have to work out. But like I said, the staff is great, the kids are great. It's a really tight knit community. And if I could ask for anything, it would be a permanent basketball hoop and really just maybe some more field trips, like getting them out and getting their hands on things, and you know, being able to learn, you know, through project-based learning and try to learn more CTE. We've got a standing weekly meeting with Gretchen. We talk about CTE all the time, and we're trying to get more of those opportunities in front of our kids.
Thank you. That's a wonderful presentation.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Are there any other questions?
Not a question, just a comment. For you know, as long as I've been on the board, and I think for as long as I've lived in Shelton, we've had you know, Stacy at the helm at Choice.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know, there's been a lot of progress and changes, lots of history. So I'm excited to see what direction we're going to go and what the new things will be. So thank you.
Thank you. And just so you know, Stacy has become a good friend. She couldn't just let go, right? So she's been helping me along the way, and we text back and forth, and she helped me through the grant process a little bit, and so she's still involved and still, I think, excited about, you know, even she's excited about having new blood and having new ideas, and you know, she says once a choice cat, always a choice cat, so she's still very much involved.
You said a couple of quick things that I just wanted to pull out and say thank you for. Understanding that a kid can't just sit there for 45 minutes and listen to a lecture.
Right.
I'll talk about Walt Disney till I'm blue in the face, but understanding that educate, you have to entertain, you have to get their attention, you have to keep them moving around and doing stuff.
Yep.
I think it's great that you've globbed onto that, and that you focus on catching the good through all of your improvement. There was some, punitive stuff if you really screw up, but most of what I read there and heard you talking about was catching the good, teaching kids what they should be doing instead of telling them that they need to hide what they shouldn't be doing.
Yes, sir.
And I think that that's becoming more and more important, not just at Choice, Shelton High School, any of the schools, or just society in general. So thank you for that.
You got it. Thank you. Thanks for pointing it out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much for the report. I don't think we have any other questions at this time. I really appreciate you going through everything. I think it's wonderful to hear that you and Stacy are friends and close. I know that she couldn't just completely back away from anything. And I personally love how you're leading by example, having a wheelie desk and being out there amongst the kids so they can see you, they can get to know you, you get to know everybody, whether it's the staff and the students, and really see what's going on in your school. So I think that's wonderful. I'm excited to see how things go at Choice this year. And do you know, will you have some students graduating this winter time as well too? I know sometimes we have mid-year.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to ask our senior advisors. Yeah.
So
potentially.
We look forward to any updates on all of that. But thank you for the report today.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
All right, that concludes our reports and recognitions section. Now we can move on to the consent agenda, which has a number of our typical items with the minutes and personnel report and different warrants, general fund or student body warrants.
It's always so much fun to see all the activities that the students are in, looking at the associated student body fund warrants. So with that, I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
And I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Hearing none, the consent agenda has passed. Now it looks like we've got a few items under discussion and action items. We'll begin with 8.01, which is the proposed resolution number 22-05, adopting the director district revisions to adjust to the 2010 U.S. Census data. We've got Superintendent Jesse, who will be speaking to that, and it is recommended for approval.
Thank you, Board President Davidson, other board directors. This particular item is part of our work. I will up front say there are two particular needs to amend this particular resolution. When it says redistricting director districts to adjust to the 2010 U.S. Census, that's really the 2020 census, and that is the next line should read 2020 as well. So those two particular are revisions to this particular resolution, just changing the date. The rest of it is fine, and it is based on the differences between 2010 to 2020, but it is ultimately based on the 2020 census. It's the redistricting for we have three representatives on the board who represent their particular districts, and they're based on the particular census blocks that are put out by the U.S. Census Bureau, so that they are representative of the three areas for directors Tarswell, directors Best, and Welander. And for that is also a requirement, one of the key particulars here is to make sure that it's representative of the demographic groups ultimately for the entire school district, and that there is not any kind of significant disproportionment of particular represented populations from one district to the other. So they are fairly representative equally across those three particular districts that we have as part of the census blocks. So this particular census just has it laid out for us that in the maps that have been posted where folks can see in particular where those lines are drawn. The lines that are drawn by the redistricting tries to keep it into identifiable boundaries. So changing any particular block or map or has some limitations to it. And ultimately, like the language says, like minimal redistricting is preferred as much as possible. And in this particular case, our redistricting was minimal. We did have a suggestion from one of the board directors around switching a particular area, and we're able to move some of that rebalancing, yet keep the represented number. And as I was mentioning earlier, the different demographic groups represented within those blocks, representative ultimately for the school district. So that was, we were able to make that change, and that again is when the maps that are posted out there for the public. If the board does approve this particular measure, it is called a meets and bounds, and it has a legal description that we would be giving to Mason County commissioners so that they have that on record as part of the voting block, so they know where their representatives come from, and there's a legal description for those particular areas. So with that, I'll turn it over for any questions or comments.
Do we have a slide that we could? Okay.
I don't think anybody has a presentation that's plugged in here to put up a slide. Unfortunately, they can go out to the website for the school district and take a look at that posting out there if they want to see the maps, or in the board packet.
Well, I had talked with Wyatt about making, some changes, and he mentioned about how the census blocks are laid out and certain roadblocks to doing that. I realized as I was looking at the map in a larger format today that the way that it's currently proposed, District 2 has 0 schools within its boundaries. District 3 would have 1, and District 1 would have 7 schools within its boundaries. And I thought that seemed a bit lopsided, and wondered if, in particular, if District 2 could be adjusted to include a school. It has no assets. In addition to the 7 schools that are in District 1, it would be the Early Learning Center. It would also be the Transportation Co-op. District 3 would have the district office, the maintenance building, and Bordeaux. And District 2 has nothing. Is that you?
No, I'm District 3.
You're 3? Okay. Oh, so you're District 2? Okay. So I didn't know if any that had been specifically addressed, or if anybody was aware.
Yeah, so we have 3 so really it's about the 3 elementary schools, and so there are particular limitations to that, the way we're laid out. All the secondary schools will be represented, just the way our districts configured where the buildings are at. It is about the schools, and it's not about like the bus barn or where central office is located. It's really about the schools themselves in reference to that. And so there are limitations to that just because of the way our plotting of the schools and keeping them within, bigger plots of land where they're located. For example, we have partnered up the OMS and Mountain View, and then of course our secondary schools, but those are all represented through all the positions, whether they're in those zones or not.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments or needs for clarification? No? All right. So This has been recommended for approval. Do we have a motion to approve the proposed resolution?
I'll move to approve the proposed resolution on the district maps.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed resolution number 22-05, adopting the director district revisions to adjust to the 2020 U.S. Census data. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Are there any abstentions? All right, it has passed. We can move on to 8.02. This is the proposed revised board policy number 3122, excused and unexcused absences. And this is the second reading. It is recommended approval, and Superintendent Jesse is here for questions, if there are any. And we had the policy within the board packet this week as well, with all revisions in red, which I believe were based mainly off of the RCW and the legal language that came from that. Are there any questions for Superintendent Jesse, or any questions that the board has in general about this policy? If there's not, we can have a motion.
I just had a kind of grammatical question, and I forwarded that on to Wyeth to evaluate that, and other than that, I didn't have any other questions regarding the policy.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the revised board policy number 3122, excused and unexcused absences.
So do we do the policy? I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed revised board policy number 3122. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Hearing none, the proposed revised board policy 3122 has passed. Now we have 8.03, proposed 2022-23 Carl D. Perkins grant application, and we have our CTE director, Gretchen, who will speak to this.
Good evening. The Carl Perkins grant provides funding to expand opportunities for students to explore, choose, and follow career and technical education programs of study, career pathways, and to earn credentials valued by industry. The purpose is to fully develop the academic and career and technical skills of secondary educational students who elect to enroll in CTE classes. This assists students by creating challenging academic and technical standards, including preparation for high skill, high wage, and high demand occupations in current or emerging professions. It promotes the development of services and activities that integrate academic and career and technical instruction. And it also provides technical assistance that promotes leadership, initial preparation and professional development, improves the quality of career and technical faculty. This year, the grant proposal is for $62,766. We were approved substantially for an early grant of $2,982, which is inclusive in the $62,000. Of that $62,000, approximately $50,000 will go towards professional development. There's an annual CTE conference that's multiple days that provides education across all content areas. Career counselor, manufacturing trades, DECA, applied math council. There's professional development in each and every of the 6 program areas and all of the pathways. We will continue to provide updated curriculum resources, especially in our health department. Family health, life after high school will be looked at, and additional curriculum and core curriculum will need to be approved and purchased. And our instructional resources with our high-demand tools, our industry-recognized credentials also go on that tab as well. Development of our computer science pathway will continue under this grant. We will analyze our business, finance, and hospitality academy. We've begun that work with our educators and our community partners as well. We will build out at Shelton High School an opportunity for CTE student enterprise. So what our students are creating in their class, they'll have an opportunity to showcase and sell. And then that will provide an opportunity for them to work with our community partners and create needs inside of our community. Applying for the Perkins grant also allows us to apply for Perkins Reserve grants as well. So that opens an opportunity for additional professional learning, CTE improvement, career and technical student organizations to provide membership fees and professional attire to our students, additional industry recognized credentials, which are things such as precision exams, OSHA certification, all the way down to food handlers permits. And the Innovative and Emerging CTE Program Grant will additionally assist us with opening up the enterprise at Shelton High School. We continue to work with the Workforce Summit, all of our EDC, our chamber, and all of our community members as well in order to get input on labor market demand and what our pathway should look like. So tonight I'm asking you for approval for the Carls Perkins grant.
Thank you very much for the explanation about all of that. Are there any questions or comments from board members about the grant? Is there a motion?
I would move that we approve the application for the Carl D. Perkins grant.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed 2022-23 Carl D. Perkins grant application. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Hearing none, the grant has passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, now we've got 8.04, which is the proposed technology items to be declared surplus. And we have the Assistant Superintendent, Brenda, speaking to this.
Good evening, President Davidson and Board of Directors. It's been a little over a year since I brought technology to you to surplus. Last time we did it was July 2021, so we've been accumulating, and it's taking over ASB 300, so we need to get it out of there. So in the board packet, you have a list of surplus items. We do make sure everything is wiped clean with school district information before it is taken out of here. Once you approve it surplus per the RCW, I have to advertise it out to the school districts in ESD 113 and then advertise to the public if anybody is interested. It really isn't usable at this point in time, but we have to go through the hoops. So, and then we typically take it over to the Washington State Surplus in Tumwater, and it's amazing. Some people go in there and do want some of those items, so we get a little bit of money out of it. But so I would ask that you declare all of these items surplus this evening.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Brenda at this time? Richard, go right ahead.
Are any of these items like before they? I know they're like mentioned to the different schools, but are there any chances for like individuals, like if they're going to be given to the you said the surplus like place in Tacoma, would there be any chance for them to be bought by like individuals instead, or did they go straight there?
Not through this process. You are welcome to go to Tumwater to the Washington State Surplus when we do it. They're very reasonable, but they're pretty much cannibalized at this point in time because we take, you know, the keys off the Chromebooks that we can replace on broken Chromebooks and that type of thing, so there isn't a lot that is usable, but you are welcome to go over there. We go over there and buy stuff all the time for the district, so.
And that's basically a warehouse that's over there on Airport Road in Tumwater.
Yes.
That is a location where all the school surplus ends up, where the public can then go in and look at all sorts of fun school surplus
Yeah.
stuff.
Kind of fun.
Yeah. So that's kind of how that process works. But there isn't, once we declare that here, you said that it does go out to the public, but that all then has to go through the warehouse there in Tumwater.
Right. We have to offer to the school districts first, that's the requirement. And then for the public piece, it's going to be at the warehouse in Olympia, so.
Okay. Are there any other questions at this time? Or is there a motion?
I'm just going to say I have an interest in some of these items, so I'll recuse myself from any vote.
Oh, okay. All right, well, we won't expect the motion from Sandy. So if there is a motion,
I move to approve the request for technology surplus.
I'll second that.
all right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed technology items to be declared surplus. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. And there is one abstention. So it is passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
When will they be given to the surplus store? Okay.
I guess that is, so does that warehouse have a website or a place to get information where the public sees that they can go, when they can go in there to see those things?
Yes, they do have a website. What I can do is see if I can send it out to all of you, and then I can have Jeff Slakey also post it on our website. There's no reason we can't
Sure.
share it because it's open to everybody, so.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thanks.
Sorry for the
That's
last minute
okay.
question there. All right, so next up is board member comments. And I think I'll start down at your end today, Carla, if you don't mind, if you've got any final comments this evening.
Yes, as long as I don't go into a coughing fit, I'll try and carry on here. I read through the grant, the Carl Perkins grant, and I just felt it very moving that we have so much work going on in our district for the CTE programs, and how it was written and expressed that it's a very inclusive program for our special ed and for our ELL students. It brings those kids to the community and gives them that equal opportunity of what they want to have a future. So that was very moving to me to read that part of the application. And when I first saw it was the Carl Perkins grant, I thought immediately the rock and roll guy who wrote Blue Suede Shoes, but apparently I was off track and I got back on track with the federal grant. So that's wonderful. I really do see how that's important to our community. I'm so impressed that we have alternative schools and the presentation on all that is being done to help some of those students who really are at risk, and they've sought out a program that will meet their needs better. I congratulate you for taking that on. The other thing I'd like to say is that I made 3 visits to schools between our last board meeting and present, and I've been to Mountain View, Evergreen, and Olympic Middle School to look at the English or the language component that's being developed. It's very impressive, the work that's being done, teachers who are changing methods, and there's evidence all over their classroom. Teachers were very grateful to have a board member visit, and they were just very excited about some of the teaching process that they're learning now. I felt like it was a great honor to be there and watch this development, and I think we're going in the right direction with literacy. And I think that's all on my mind tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Carla. Sandy, do you have any comments this evening?
I can tag on with the CTE. That's always a special interest to me, so I always appreciate hearing that and following the grant and the programs that are going to be affected by it. The other item is I will be able to attend the study session on Monday. Originally, I had thought I would not be able to, but things have changed and I can make that. So looking forward to that. Thank you.
Great, that's good to hear. And Matt?
I actually don't have much. Cool on your trip to Washington, D.C. It's neat that you're able to represent us on a really big stage. I'm jealous that Director Best is going to the CTE one, and I've heard nothing but good things about the literacy projects, and I'm excited to see where that goes. So really, that's all I had tonight. Well, thanks.
Director Best.
Thank you. I was fortunate I got to represent the school district at the board on the WASDA, which is the Washington State School Directors Association General Assembly last Friday and Saturday. As we reviewed and voted on 70 resolutions and another seemingly 50 to 100 more of considered. It's a very interesting process. For the other board members, I do have all the documents from that if you'd like to look at it. It's our opportunity to help give input to the policies that often run into OSPI and to the governor's office. So it behooves us to do our best and apply our due diligence to make sure that we know what's going on and that we can make suggestions. My other couple of topics, being a former intelligence analyst, I like to read open source documents and things like that, and I always find it interesting because while it may not be an accurate reality, the perception that we have a lot of fights, we got problems with vaping going on in the schools, et cetera. I'm sure you're aware of it. We just need to find a way to communicate a little better to our parents that we are taking steps, we are implementing these things. I really appreciate your input on the fact that there have been no fights. Compared to last year, was not the same story. But we want to make sure we have a safe and welcoming environment, and school violence is one of those topics that I'm really near and dear to my heart, and so I'll continue to address that. So other than that, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have a whole lot myself either. I do want to thank everybody for their reports tonight. The school improvement plan for choice, that was really great to see what's going on there. I always enjoy hearing from all of the student representatives about what's happening at the schools. I'm excited for homecoming this week. My class, I graduated from Shelton High School 30 years ago, and we're having our 30-year high school reunion the Saturday after the homecoming game. So many of including my husband, played football against Tumwater, and we beat them on their field 30 years ago. And I keep hearing that might be the last time Shelton beat Tumwater. I don't know if that's true, but they've invited a bunch of those guys back to be there for this game. So you never know what's going to happen Friday night, and I think it'll be pretty exciting. I think the class of 93 and 92 will be in the parking lot, and they've been invited in to talk to the football players. Those who played football will be doing that. So there's a lot of fun community things going on. I've been personally loving watching girls volleyball. If you haven't gone to watch that, that's super exciting. And there's been a great student section for the home games. That's been a lot of fun. I do love that there have been athletics down at OBJH and OMS. I think that it's so important to have the kids have these opportunities. I want to thank the community member who came and made comments tonight too. Having 2 kids in school, I know these challenges, and I get talked to from parents all the time about the transportation issues, and it's so hard. And I know that our school district is trying to think of creative solutions, and I have had to transport my own child for their athletics this year because they haven't had transportation for a soccer match at OBJH, and I know the football players have had to charter a bus. So it's affecting everybody, but most importantly, just getting kids to school, because obviously attendance is a part of every single one of the school improvement plans, and we need the kids to be able to get there. And I hope, because this is an ongoing issue, that we can come up with creative solutions for all of this. And I know there's many people working very hard on that, and we'll continue to do that. And I'm thankful for the people that come in and take the time to make comments about it or email us about these challenges that they're having, so that they are completely brought to our attention, and if someone has a solution or an idea that hasn't been thought of, that's always helpful. But that is about it for tonight. We don't have any reason for an executive session, so there's nothing left on the agenda other than a motion for an adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned, but board members, please stick around for the signing of the paperwork.